Okay, we're back.
Another little break it took.
We're back at it. Just greater than ever.
Greater than ever, yeah. This is episode 8, by the way, I think, right?
This is it, yeah?
7? 8? I'm not sure. I think it's 8. I think the last one was 7.
This is the most current episode.
Yes, there you go. We'll know.
Just so that all of you know, this will probably be the last one with just me and Justin for this season, the first season, and we'll do one more with 2 special guests on that we talked about. Didn't know if you remembered.
I remembered.
Okay. Well, I mean, we didn't know if I remembered. And then that'll be it for our first season, and then we'll take some time off. I have a lot going on with work that I haven't even told you about.
Oh, gosh.
So, yeah, we're going to take some much-needed time off to kind of reset and get everything to be tip-top shape.
Yes.
And then come back and...
Probably upgrade some stuff. Maybe.
Yeah.
We'll spend some time.
A few things. But, yeah, so let's start off with...
What we're drinking.
What we're drinking. This is my choice for this week. This is a Pinot Noir 2018 from my very favorite winery, Cordon Nel, in Paso Robles, California. I love wine.
I've never really had enough wine to say if I love or hate it.
I haven't gone to like Napa or anything like that before, but like out of Paso and like all the other wineries that I've been to, this is my favorite winery ever.
That's...
But I mean, I'm sure there's other great wineries out there, but like it's not just the wine, it's the people that work there. Shout out to Amber. You're the best. But yeah, it's just like awesome people, awesome winery, great wine. So yeah.
I can smell it.
It's so good, it's so smooth. My boyfriend doesn't like wine. And he actually likes their whites because they're really smooth and like more, I think a lot of them are in stainless steel, so they don't have like that oaky taste to them.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, let's try it.
Yeah. We cheers first.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for my new cups, JJ. It's good, right?
It's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
So, mental health check.
Yes.
Where are you at? How you doing?
Number scale, not to get into much of it, but I think I'm less than last week overall.
Okay.
I don't know why necessarily, but I feel it for whatever reason.
You've
I would
had a
say,
long week.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I would say like a 5. It's like a solid 5. Like right in the middle, like I'm not completely given up yet, but I'm not optimistic either, so.
Alright.
Yeah,
So like, it could get better.
it could get better. Always room for
And it's not the worst.
It's not the worst.
So,
Yeah.
we've been lower.
We've been lower.
I'm at, honestly, like, an 8.
That's awesome.
I know.
I'm so happy for you.
I had a really great birthday, and then it led into a really great work week, even though it was insane, and I'm exhausted, and my brain is mush. It was a great work week. I have some opportunities coming up that hopefully work out. But yeah, I'm feeling
I forgot to
good.
even ask you about that stuff.
I'm feeling very seen by my company right
That's
now.
awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
Good.
I've
Recognition
talked
is
to
important.
some very, very high up people in this past week, and I
Awesome.
have an interview coming up with the president of our company.
That's awesome. That's really good. I'm happy for you.
I hope I said the right title of what he is. I'm pretty sure he's the president. He's like
He's a high up
he's not the
person.
CEO. I know who the CEO is, but he's like up there with
he's
him.
he's the real deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's a big deal.
He's a big deal.
I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to talk about the company I work for,
Good.
but yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good about my career, but also that's why we're going to take a break, because if this works out, I will no longer be in Fresno. So we'll have to figure out those logistics and then see how we're going to carry it on from there. But that might actually make it easier for us to have guests on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because right now it's like we're trying to be COVID safe, and so we're only really having people on that like we actually talk to and like see, and who have been quarantining and things like that. So this way, if we're doing everything virtual, we can have anyone on, and it's a lot easier that way. So let us know if there's anyone you think that we should bring on for the next season, because we'd be really happy to bring some new people and hear some new thoughts.
For sure. Yeah. No, it's been great. Yeah. No, I'm excited for you. I'm happy for that.
Thanks. Is there anything that has happened this week that you're just like, my soul needs to talk about it?
My soul needs to talk about.
Your soul's like burning to talk about a subject where you're just like, the people need to hear my thoughts on this.
There's been a lot of like, I think like funny things that have happened this week, or like not funny, in the last like 2 weeks, because I guess we kind of took a little longer than a week this time off.
Yeah.
But what's her name? Marjorie Taylor. Did she sew?
I can't remember the order
MGT,
that her name goes in.
Yeah, I think it's MGT.
I thought it was Marjorie Taylor Greene.
MGMT, electric feel. I'm just kidding. No, MGT, I think.
I'm pretty sure. Alright, I'm gonna look it up.
Either way.
You keep going.
The funny stuff about like her conspiracies, like each one is crazier than the last, and it's crazy to hear.
It's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I told you. I'm
gonna look up. I want to hear. I've heard her conspiracy on the California wildfires are Jewish spaceships shooting laser beams.
Yes.
And I'm like, what? Why are the Jews targeting California? Make sense.
It seems like a pretty logical thing. I mean,
who wouldn't believe it?
Exactly.
I mean, honestly, like as soon as I heard that, I was like,
yes.
oh,
yeah.
That's why we have more wildfires. It's because of the Jewish spaceships shooting laser beams at California, because California is so anti-Jewish.
And on top of that, because climate change could possibly never contribute to wildfires or anything like that, or droughts or anything.
It snows,
it snows.
Global warming's not a thing.
Clearly. Yeah, no, she's really funny to talk about. There's some other things that I came up with her.
She's insane.
She is. But the sad part is there's so many people that support her.
The crazy thing is that some people compare, like, AOC, like, the hate that they have for AOC to, like, the hate that people have for her. Mm-hmm. And that's crazy to me because it's like, how? Like, AOC is advocating for human rights.
To make people's lives better.
And, like, anti-racism and, like, you know, wealth equality or
inequality.
No, like have wealth equality.
Course, yeah.
And like Marjorie Taylor Greene is bullying children.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. It's like we know of AOC because of her policies and like what she wants to do. We know of this lady because of her conspiracies.
She's crazy and she's evil and she's mean and she says really terrible things and she's kind of racist, and it's like, okay, people don't like her because she's a terrible fucking person. People don't like AOC because of her policies. Like, they don't align with what she believes, and like, and it's not like opinions. It's just like policies. Like, I believe that people should have health care. I believe people should be paid a living wage. I believe that black people shouldn't be oppressed. And people are like, no, I hate AOC the way that you hate Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes. And I'm like,
no, it's different.
Do you understand what you're saying right now?
No, it's way different. No, but yeah, she has a lot of funny things to look at. It's really cool because it's so dumb. But yeah, that's something I like talking about. But neither here nor there. What about you? Do you have anything that like caught your attention this week that you're just like, need to?
Aren't they like going through with the impeachment trial of Donald Trump?
Dude, okay, you know what? That's a huge thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
There's obviously now like videos that never came out before from that day. The one where the main officer, I think his name was Officer Goodman, the one that stopped the crowd and distracted them. Basically, they chased him up, and he got him away from the senators and congresspeople.
Yeah.
So they showed a never before scene where Mitt Romney is literally walking into the crowd, but he doesn't know they're around the corner yet. And the officer runs from the opposite direction and tells him, "No, go, go, go." And then Mitt Romney starts running the opposite way. He was like seconds away, like within like 30 feet.
Like they could have beat Mitt Romney to death.
And nonetheless, that morning he was getting like berated in the airport, like what people say, and like very like not like I'm not saying they were attacking him in the airport, but they were like yelling at him and stuff, and it encourages.
Yeah, because people really don't like
anyone that opposes Trump.
Yeah.
At that moment, but. Yeah, so that was a really crazy video to see that. Mitt Romney hadn't even seen it yet, I guess. So he saw it in that trial. And
I haven't really got to keep up with it because, again, I was like in an insane week at work and like traveling a crap ton, so I haven't got to really watch the news.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched TV in general. I've like just been on social media here and there, so I have heard like here and there like pieces of the impeachment trial. And, like one thing that Republicans who are opposed to it are saying like, well, like everyone says to fight.
Yeah, no, that's pretty funny.
And they like brought up like a bunch of clips of like Elizabeth Warren, Nancy Pelosi, and a bunch of people, and I'm like, okay, but context matters.
Completely. There's a difference between saying fight when there's literally people protest or on their way to protest to the Capitol, and another thing saying fight when they're like, I'm gonna fight to the end of the race or whatever. Like I'm gonna fight to get people these things, not like I'm gonna literally beat somebody.
Well, and it's like also the context of his entire presidency is what matters, right? Like it's not just the one moment. It's like multiple moments built up to that day. So when the context behind fight was different than when Elizabeth Warren was saying fight,
you know, for healthcare or something.
Yeah, things like that, and I just. The context matters.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's not like it's not fair to just bring up a bunch of snippets of videos and just be like, well, everybody said fight, so should we, you know, get rid of them too? And it's just like, there's other things that Donald Trump has done that are impeachable though too. So like let's look at the whole entire picture of his presidency. Let's look at the whole entire picture of his rhetoric. And when we get there, it's like,
no, you're a bad person. Yeah.
He had a pretty big hand in this, guy.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Like you can't say he didn't. Like. So that's the funny part is like there's even a trial. I mean, of course you have to have a trial no matter what if you're going to prosecute anybody. Yeah. But if the fact that the trial has to even be like this contested, it's like no, like you could just look at the video from the day of that, from the videos beforehand. Like obviously he's always incited his supporters to do violence, whether it's when there was protesters in his rallies and he's like just punch them in the face and pay for your legal fees, or whether he's when he was barely campaigning when he said I can go on 6th Avenue and shoot someone and no one would.
And I think too, it's like the context behind a portion of his supporters being literal, like KKK members.
Yeah.
And it's like, I genuinely think like you have to be fucking coherent enough to understand that you can't tell people who base their beliefs out of violence to go fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's different, and that's the context that you're missing.
You're
you know,
right. Yeah,
like
no, you're right. That's funny.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
America is like a reality show.
It really is, huh? I mean, we had a president that was in a reality show, so
he was a reality TV star, and people forget about that, and yet like. Famous people will speak up and they'll be like calling them snowflakes and saying like nobody fucking cares what you have to think, like you're just an actor, and it's like
he's an actor.
He's an actor.
Well, I mean
he is. Reality TV isn't real, you guys. Come on.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not real.
Yeah, no, it's a funny situation, man. I can't believe it's mid-February right now and we're still talking about
I feel like it should be like June.
Yeah, you're right.
I feel like this year has been so long.
No, it has already, but at the same time, I feel like everything just happened yesterday. At the same, like if you asked me when the election happened, I could I don't know, like last month maybe.
Maybe it's just what getting old feels like.
Maybe.
Because last year felt like this too, or maybe it's just the fact that we've had like pretty traumatic a whole traumatic year last year, and then we're still facing the trauma from all of the fallout from that, and like what's still going on.
I think that's it. Honestly, I think it's just how much has happened in such a short amount of time, which I don't think, I mean, in my life I've never experienced so many different things happening at once. I'm not saying it's the worst things happened to me, but I'm saying there's a lot of big things that have happened this year. So it probably just feels like it's a
bad year. It's crazy.
It's going into this year. But I'm hopeful, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm a 5.
So there's a lot always happening in current event politics, to be honest. Like we could probably look up stuff right now and like talk on multiple topics. But today we wanted to dedicate this episode to pop culture current events, courtesy of me. Because... So
she is the host of this one today?
Because I watched the Britney Spears Framing Britney New York Times documentary.
I haven't seen it, and because it's on Hulu, right?
It's really good. Yeah. It's insane because we were so young, you know?
We didn't even know what was...
I loved Britney. Like, I had all of her albums. My mom, I'm thankful for my mom because she was never, like, she wasn't like, have your tits out, like, whatever, but she was never, like, suppressing like my own empowerment.
Yeah.
Like I could wear a V-neck and some short shorts, and she'd be like, "Girl, you look cute."
There you go.
You know, so like I feel like to her, like Britney Spears was like a good role model for me growing up, because she's like, she owns herself and she's empowered and she's strong and she's just like this great role model. Whereas so many people like criticized her because it was like kind of going back and forth between like innocence and sexuality and like meshing the two together. But because of that, it was like all of these white women being like, you know, you're being a bad example for young women. And it's like, is she though? Like, women are taught to stifle their sexuality for years and be ashamed of their sexuality for years, but men aren't. Men learn from a young age that like their whole entire being and powerfulness is stemming from sexuality. So it's like, why shouldn't women have that too?
Yeah.
And I get it, it was a different time, but like, look at what it did to her.
Yeah.
And like what all of that did to her. It wasn't just that, but it's like the way that she was portrayed in the media, the way that the media treated her. And it's really interesting because I had never heard of a conservatorship.
I hadn't either.
Until this whole ordeal.
So what, like, how did that happen? So is it like because she had so many like crazy like outbreaks and stuff that they thought that she wasn't responsible enough to be able to handle her own like, finances, to put it in the hands of her father? Or?
Here we go. So she, in the documentary, basically, like, I think it was after Kevin Federline.
From Fresno, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Shout out.
Shout out.
After him, I think her mom believes she had 2 kids, and it was like right after she had her second kid. Her mom believes that she was struggling with postpartum depression.
Okay.
Which is why she believes that she had all the outbreaks that she had, because she wasn't dealing with it in a healthy way, and she was like in this huge public eye, and like the paparazzi wouldn't leave her alone, and it's a lot. Like, I can't imagine to be going through all that, and like people are taking pictures of her in her worst moments and like selling them to magazines for millions of dollars, and it's just like, and then claiming that like they were there for her, or that they cared about her, or that, you know, it was a mutual respect or a mutual agreement, where it's like you could tell at that time, like maybe in the beginning, but like at that time, like it wasn't for her anymore. Yeah. You know, and there was so many people who were benefiting off of her fame that nobody was really looking out for her anymore. Of course, yeah. No, that makes... But yeah, so I guess it escalated after that. That's when she kind of started going out with, like, Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton. You know, the crotch shots of her not wearing underwear were, you know, plastered everywhere. She was... I think she went to rehab, maybe. I'm not sure if this was, like, before or after. And then she got her custody taken away, I think, so she just had visitation rights, and I guess one night when she was trying to visit the kids, Kevin Federline wouldn't let her, and so I think that was this, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was the same night that she, like, ended up, like, going and, like, shaving her head off, and then she, like, went and got a tattoo, and then, like, a week or so after that is when a paparazzi was like on her ass, and she was like telling them like, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone, until she got out of the car and like got an umbrella and like started, you know, hitting his car. And then it was after that, because at that point I believe her dad had started managing like all of her finances, like not her finances, like just managing her, as like a superstar. Yeah. Which people were saying in the documentary, like, it didn't make sense because he was never present in her life before that. So it was kind of like, why him? Yeah. So then after that was when they applied, like, with the courts, I don't know if applied is the right word, but for a conservatorship.
So basically just take advantage of it.
They basically said, here, I'll read you what the ACLU said. So what is a conservatorship? Conservatorship is when the court takes away civil liberties from one person and gives them to someone else. The court essentially declares that a person with a disability is no longer able to make decisions about their livelihood, including where they live and how they support and feed themselves, and put someone else in charge of making those decisions. Why is conservatorship a disability rights issue? People only end up under conservatorships or guardianships if a court identifies them as having a disability. This includes people with psychiatric disabilities, developmental or intellectual disabilities, age-related disabilities like dementia, and other types of disabilities. Fighting against the unnecessary and dangerous removal of disabled people's civil rights and civil liberties is a core pillar behind disability rights work. If we don't know Britney's diagnosis or details about her particular situation, how can we know her case is a civil rights and civil liberties issue? Yeah, so it just kind of goes on. So if you guys want to read about it a little bit more, ACLU nationwide posted about it not too long ago. But it's just kind of fucked up because, I mean, and even the people in the documentary were saying, like, you know, people who are usually under conservatorships are usually really old age. To where they can't take care of themselves anymore. And so it's so weird that she was in her 20s and someone took over her
life,
her whole life, her finances, her person, that's like a thing. And so now she's battling to have her dad removed from that and have a like third party over her finances completely. And then I think her person, I don't remember. I'd have to rewatch the documentary, but maybe like her mom or something like that. But she's basically said like, I'm afraid of my dad.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Because I mean,
really
I've seen that. It's like she's like appealed it so many times, and it just keeps getting shot down.
I think it was back in August when the last time she tried, and they didn't remove him from her person, but they did partially remove him from her finances.
Yeah, so now she's like,
so she's like getting, and I guess it's like they're asking one of the lawyers that had represented him previously, and they were saying like, how many times have you seen, because I guess like that was their specialty, they're like, how many times have you seen someone like fighting to get the conservatorship removed win? And she said never. So it's just kind of like fucked, you know, like this young woman who was struggling with postpartum depression most likely, and maybe a drug problem, which is also mental illness. Like, that doesn't mean that she can't take control back over her life when she's well again.
Yeah, no matter what.
You know, and that doesn't mean that you should just take everything from them and like take over their lives. You know, so many people go through those things, and you don't see people just being like, well, you know what, I'm just gonna take control of everything in their lives and who they are and their finances and every single decision that they make. And and it's so crazy too, because right after that, like when he advocated for her to have him as her conservator, I guess, she went back to work after that. He put her back to work. Yeah. And that's when she started churning out albums again. So it's like, if she's so unwell, why is she performing? Why does she have a residency in Vegas?
Yeah, so obviously the best interest isn't for her.
It was never for her. It's probably for the money.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just sad. It's really sad. I thought it was really interesting. So if you guys have Hulu,
I really need to get
check it out. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. And I just think that like, also, like, something that was really interesting to me was Justin Timberlake was brought up.
I saw his apology, which I was like...
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that right now. If you like Justin Timberlake, fuck him. Because I'm sorry, if you're gonna apologize 15 to 20 years after you did something fucked up that was, like, super damaging to someone else's image, and she never said anything about him, and you're just gonna do that and go make a song, Cry Me a River, and about her cheating on you and like completely ruin her image and like do that, and then 20 years later you're like, oh, I failed you, because now you're being called out about it. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for him at all.
That's one of those really tough things, because Cry Me a River is a beautiful song.
It is a good song.
That's a really
good song. And at the time I really liked it, but I had no clue what it was about.
I mean, SNL and him and Andy Samberg are together. It's so cool. You want to like him so much, but I guess he's a dick.
You know what though? Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is about him, but there's just something where like growing up, I liked his music. He was an NSYNC. But as I got, the older and older I got, I just like, what did you just? Oh.
Bye. Not like you're talking.
I thought you were waving.
Oh, hi.
And I was like,
I'm losing my mind.
What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Are you okay?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Bye. Yeah. No, I was a huge Justin Timberlake stan when I was younger, but I think as I got older and I started seeing him act, like, I just didn't, there was something about him that I just didn't like, and I feel like I have, like, a pretty good intuition for, like, creeps, and I just feel like somewhere in him he's just a creep. And maybe not like a creep, but just like a douche.
Okay.
A douche, yeah, that's a better word. I feel like he's just a douche.
Okay, I can see that.
And, like, I just don't care to support him anymore.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't do anything that supports him anyway, so...
But no, like, I don't know. And then he also apologized to Janet Jackson for the whole Super Bowl ordeal, which was, like, insane.
That was crazy, yeah.
I mean, don't even get me started on that. But, yeah, if you guys are interested in that whole story and
There's a lot, like, you would never think it was that insane. So that's why I'm like, wow, dude, there's so much more to it than I thought. I thought maybe just, she was having, like, if you looked at it just from the outside in, or like, from the outside to it, you'd be like, oh, she just went crazy and her parents are trying to take care of her now. That's what you would think. Like, that's like the very black and white picture. But then obviously that huge gray area where it's like, well, no, she was being taken advantage of. She was under so much stress, postpartum depression. She had all these things. So, like, there's a lot more to it. So, yeah, it sounds like an amazing documentary to watch.
It's pretty. I mean, it's one episode. I think it's like an hour long, maybe a little more, a little less, but it is really interesting. And I think, like, and we'll get into this in the next topic, but like, I just think that the way that the media portrays women and like the grace that they give men, is so fucking unfair. Like, it's so fucking unfair. Like, women aren't allowed to be sexual beings in the media or the public eye, and if they are, then they're deemed as, like, someone that it's like a sex pot, or, like, someone that you would want to fuck, but it's, like, no one that any of the media portrays as someone you'd want to marry, or they're astounded when they settle down with someone, like Angelina Jolie, Megan Fox, and then don't even get me started on women of color, because then that's a whole nother can of worms, but we will get into that because the next topic.
So this one you're for sure going on, because I don't know anything about it. But I mean, I understand, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, well, we'll just like briefly, I'll briefly give the cliff notes on the topic, but then we can kind of talk more about, women of color and their portrayal in the media. But, so, I watched The Bachelor.
I don't.
I do. I watched The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise. I don't know what it is about that show. It just gets me hooked every fucking season. And I'm aware, like very aware of the shortcomings of the show when it comes to misogyny and racism and bigotry and sexism.
Well, that's why they released The Bachelorette.
I mean, I studied it in my, gosh, what is that class? It was like women in media, or like women's portrayal in media. And it came up as a term called Enlightened sexism, where it was this term that came up, I think it was back in like the early 2000s, where it was kind of aimed towards like women in their 30s and 40s, kind of like, because the wave of the first, like second wave, I think, of feminism had came like around like their prime time. So now that they're in their 40s, it's kind of telling them like, oh, like women have made their progress. So like now you can kind of like go back to like trying to find a man and like being a wife and like, having kids, and like that's your focus. And that's like why The Bachelor did so well when it first came out, because that's the whole focus, is women trying to find a life partner and fighting each other and clawing at each other and just being terrible human beings to each other to do so. And so 30 seasons later, we're here, and we've had now two black bachelorettes and the very first black bachelor, which is Matt James, the current season. And before he was announced, the show itself, I think like the owner or whatever, Mike Fleiss, like came out and kind of said like, like we know that we have work to do, and like from here on out, like we're going to do everything that we can to be like anti-racist and like
inclusive,
blah blah blah. So now on the current season, there is a young woman named Rachel Kirkconnell who has been found in pictures in 2018 at an antebellum ball, and tagged in pictures with like Trump flags and Confederate flags, and her dad, which is not her, but her dad has been on Facebook saying very disgusting things. So like, let's just start there. And because a lot of people seem to be defending like, well, first of all, this was 3 years ago.
That was a long time ago.
It's a long time ago, guys.
Forget about it.
And it was an antebellum ball, guys. Like, it doesn't mean that she's racist. Maybe she just wanted to dress up and have fun. So I listened to a podcast about The Bachelor called Chatty Broads, and they kind of brought this up, but they had said that antebellum balls were banned by colleges in this, I mean, I think all colleges, but like colleges in the South primarily in 2016 because, like literally because they're racist.
Yeah.
And they like recognize that. And we're like, hey, students, no more of this shit. It's hella racist.
Yeah.
Please stop. Obviously, students continue to have them. And Rachel went to them.
Nice.
And she's photographed at them. And so the reason why I'm talking about this is, one, it's racist. Like,
It's racist.
it's celebrating the Old South. Like, the Old South is literally the Confederacy who
Southern
was
pride.
fighting for slaves. Like
States'
slavery.
rights, okay? States' rights.
Excuse me.
States' rights to own slaves. Get it right.
So sorry. The show host, Chris Harrison, went on an interview with the first black bachelorette, Rachel Lindsay, who called him out on it, and he basically defended all of it. He cut her off multiple times, talked over her, and then he made the comment that gets to me was she said like, well, you know, the antebellum ball was not a good look, and he told her, was it not a good look in 2018, or is it just not a good look in 2021? To which she responded and said, no, slavery has never been a good look. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. It's not necessarily about The Bachelor. It's, for one, it's white men in positions of power who get to a point where they're so powerful or they have so much money that they forget that there's consequences for their actions and like how important it is to hold them accountable. And I think didn't like someone in sports, some like owner of a team just got caught saying like the N-word or something, right?
I don't know about an owner of a team. I know there was a country singer.
I know it was a country singer too, but I swear there was someone in sports.
There was a creep in sports with the Mets. He was like general manager, and he was texting. I think he sent like some female journalist, like or female reporter. I think it was like 61 messages, and she, not all unresponsive. And then she never sent it. And then the 62nd one was just a picture of a winner. So I was like,
oh God!
You know, strike out 61 times.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry. He knows not to be calling. Hello?
Hey,
Hi.
I am on the side of the road because my aunt said that. I
Oh.
just called my dad, he's coming. Is Justin good with cars?
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah, no, the electricity works. The engine won't turn on. I got my hazards on, I'm just on the side of the road.
Oh shit.
Waiting for my dad.
Okay.
Like right before the hill.
Oh,
A light or two before the hill.
that's so weird.
Yeah. I just went to speed up and everything just shut off.
That sucks. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, keep me posted.
Just wants to help.
Okay.
If you need anything, just let me know. Do you need me to do anything?
I mean, there's not really anything.
There's nothing I can do really, but
Shoot, pretty kiss. Actually, never mind. I have a sweatshirt right here. I was considering a sweatshirt, but I forgot my suitcase and stuff is in here. I'm gonna try and turn it on again and see if it'll go.
okay.
Cars, but yeah, it is. Yeah, it's super weird. Yeah, nothing.
Okay, well, I don't really know what to do.
You're on the Bluetooth when I turned it on.
Oh, I was just saying, I don't really know, like, what to do. Okay, well, do you want to just call me after your dad gets there?
Yeah, that's fine. And then my bag Alright, I need to put down my phone. I'll call you in a little bit.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, bye.
That's really shitty.
That
That's,
sucks.
we'll cut that out.
Okay,
Obviously.
yeah.
But no, I feel bad. That's really sad. I wish I was good at cars just for that reason.
I barely know how to change a tire.
I changed the tire for like the first time like a couple months ago. because I was stuck at Target, so I had to. I had no option.
Anyways,
All right.
where was I?
Bachelorette.
Oh yeah, rich white dudes being douchebags.
Douchebags.
Justin Timberlake.
Just Timberlake. The way people. We were talking about being.
Just like, I mean, Chris Harrison in this recent interview.
We're talking about you were asking if there was someone that just said that.
Okay, wait, no, I am pretty sure that it was like some, hold on.
Yeah, but so the thing was that some reporter or some GM for the Mets just got hired, sent a dick pic after sending like 1 million different messages to either a reporter or journalist for the Met or for some team. She was a female journalist, and yeah, he did that because that's the proper way to respond to not getting the text back after 61 messages.
That is, yeah, I mean,
that's everyone's first thought, right?
What do you expect? I mean, I swear to God, dude, okay, well, I don't know much about sports, so I can't.
It's a sports team.
I wish, go team, score points. Anyways, though, no, I mean, like, you can find it in so many instances. It doesn't even have to be specific ones, but, like, we just see this happening over and over again, and I just think, like, this is why it's so important to hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Like, in the moment, too. Like,
you're trying to cancel them.
Yes. No. And, like, something that one of the girls from one of the previous seasons said was, like, this isn't cancel culture. Like, this is us holding him accountable. He is a rich, multi-million-dollar white male. If he loses his job from this, you guys, he will be okay.
Yeah.
But, like, this is why it's important to hold people accountable, because if he doesn't, he will continue to think this way and to think it's okay because there's no consequences. And, like, I mean, you can take a rich white dude as an example, but, like, really anyone who makes racist comments, whether they're covert or overt, like, you should always stop in the moment and go, hey, like, that's not okay.
Exactly. You should always call out that, like, no matter what. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like 3 years ago, like, if someone said, like, is that okay 3 years ago or just not today? It's like, well, first off, do you think 3 years ago was fucking 1941 or something? Like, even then, it wasn't okay. And there was people that were against those things. But in today's world, for sure, 3 years ago was yesterday. Like, there's nothing different, like, from 3 years ago that's different today.
Well, it's like
that different at least.
3 years ago, like, Black Lives Matter was still a thing.
Still
like, there was still, like, a bunch of things going on in this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, was it as heightened as it was in 2020 and 2021? No, but was it still 100% a lens that we could look through at our actions and, like, be like, hey, that's not okay to do? Yeah, 100%. And, like, to try and sit there and be like, oh, well, like, in 2018, like, we didn't have the tools to, like, understand. It's like, no, we've had them. We've had them since literally the beginning of time. So to, like, try and make that argument that, like, oh, well, nobody knew that it was racist.
This might be so, like, giving way too much benefit of the doubt to
Which
people.
is something you like to do.
I do. No. I don't like to give it to people that make stupid comments. But however, I mean, yes, I do. But, like, do you think that their privilege is just so strong that they just really think, like, was it that bad, though? Like, what? Like, how many times have you heard of politicians doing blackface and shit? Like, in the 90s. Like, do you think blackface in the 90s was okay? Like, no, it wasn't.
Well, it's like, yeah, probably, but again, like, that's why it's so fucking important to, like, call it out, hold them accountable, and be like, I'm sorry, but there are consequences for your actions.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you feel bad. I'm sorry that now you realize it was wrong, but the fact that you did it in the moment and you said it with your fucking chest is why now, like...
And let's be real, like, if you're getting held accountable at a height of fame, you're probably gonna be you're probably gonna be totally fine. Like realistically, like, if you get, like, let's say...
Maybe you have
get
to sell
quote,
your
unquote,
mansion, but...
Maybe not even then. Like, maybe you get quote-unquote canceled because you said some racist shit, like, a couple years ago, or continuing to do so. Maybe you get canceled. Guess what? There's a whole faction of the country that still likes people that do that. So you might actually even make more money because you fucking said racist shit. Before, they probably just thought you were some stupid snowflake or whatever, and then you said some racist shit in the past. Like, you know what? I kind of like that guy. Like, that's the worst part about it. Like,
well, and then it's like, it's too, because, I mean, Chris Harrison was definitely, like, on the board of, like, oh, like, The Bachelor needs to change, and, like, blah, blah, but then there's, like, older interviews where we see him basically, like, saying like, oh well, if we had like a more diverse cast, like people would stop watching, and like we all want to keep our jobs. So it's just like such fake like woke activism from him and the show at this point, where it's just kind of like he needs to be fired. Like if you want people of color to continue to watch your show, which we should be able to watch a reality TV show and have joy from it, you know? Like we should be able to watch a reality TV show and like see someone that looks like us on it. Like black women should be able to go on that show and not be portrayed in a really negative light, you know? Like they should.
Representation is like huge, like no matter what. I'm like, obviously, like it's not like to say that you have to, like, it's like there's a way to do it, like you just do it, like just treat everyone like people and just be like, you know what, whoever wants to join the show, we're gonna do the casting, whatever, okay. Don't go by like I need to hire only black people, or I need to hire only, it's like, no, you don't have to be fucking like, or like, I don't know, like I guess you don't have like a fake wokeness to it, like just do it organically, just like, it shouldn't be a thing where you should be like, I don't know.
But I guess, like, my point is that, like, a lot of people are like, well, then just stop watching the show. And it's like, trust me, if nothing happens with this, like, I will. I'll definitely consider that. Because if, like, the show is going to show, or the person that owns the show is going to, like, prove that, like, they don't actually care. Because Mike Fleiss is, like, very active on socials, like, very much saying, like, anti-racism, like, all of this stuff, you know, leaning with the side that I'm on. Yeah. But it's like, your actions speak louder than words. Yeah, and so at this point, it's like, if you allow that, then a lot of people are going to second guess, like, wanting to continue to watch the show. But what I mean is, like, people are going to be like, well, why don't you just stop watching? But that's what I'm saying, like, women of color, black women, indigenous women, like, should be able to have these joys that white women have. That they get to see themselves on romantic dating shows, as silly as they are. Like, to just ask them to just remove yourself from it. Like, that's not fucking fair. Like, why don't we get to do that too? Yeah. Like, why don't we get to enjoy, like, these frivolous parts of life that white women have always been able to enjoy? And, like, that's the issue. And, like, that's why people are fighting for this. Like, it may seem silly because it's a reality TV show, but, like, media influences life. And if, like, we don't get it right in the media, like, we see a direct impact in society. So, like, that's why it's a big deal.
Of course, yeah. I mean, and the other shitty part is, like, the argument is going to be like, well, why don't you make your own show? Then that's like that, like, that's so inclusive. But it's like, how about, rather than just being ignorant, you just be more inclusive? And, like,
I get it. Like, the show is dumb. I mean, let's be honest. Like, it's a reality TV show. I also watch, like, every once in a while, Real Housewives. And it's just, like, the reason why I like reality TV is because I know what goes on behind the scenes. And so, like, I think it's hilarious. But also, like, there's very problematic things that happen on reality TV. And it's just, like, this shit needs to be called out. And people need to be held accountable. Like, they shouldn't be able to keep rising to fame. Yeah, because if I stop watching it and women of color stop watching it, guess what? We're not their target audience. Yeah. White women are. They'll keep watching it. So that's why we call these people out. Because there needs to be a change. Yeah. No, you're totally right. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's frustrating, I think. And I'm sure it's way more frustrating for black women who have to watch this happen, like, over and over and over again. And, like, constantly be hurt by the words and actions of white people. Yeah.
It's stupid, regardless. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch it, so it doesn't matter to me. I mean, it does matter to me in the sense that, you know, I feel horrible that people are, like, excluded from things that they should be able to enjoy. Like, everyone should be able to enjoy TV and being in that spot. But it's shitty. I mean.
Yeah, and, like, the other thing I kind of wanted to touch on was, like, women's portrayal in the media, because, I mean, it's just something that I've been observing from this season, but you could see it in literally most media, almost all media. It's just there's certain categories that women of color get put in. So, like, black women are usually, like, aggressive or loud or angry, like the angry black woman, you know. Or super sexualized, like black women get sexualized from a very, very young age point. And then Asian women are like the dragon lady. So again, they're either like really, really mean and scary or extremely sexualized. And then Latino women are, again,
angry.
Spicy, fiery Latinas. I want a fiery Latina. I want a spicy Latina. Shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry. Like, me having an attitude.
Well, spicy like, over here.
But would you say that about a white woman? Like, would you? And then, like, white women putting on hoops and being like, oh, I got my attitude on. Like, I'm sorry, that's appropriation. Yeah. Like,
Gwen Stefani, we're talking to you. I'm
Stop.
just kidding. She
Yes,
had a great
no, I'm just
song.
kidding.
That was a great video.
I like Gwen, but girl,
It was
You
okay.
fucked up.
They gave it that. I'm just kidding. I don't know, but it was a cool song.
no, but like, I mean, it's just things like that. Like, Latino women are like the spicy Latinas who have an attitude and, again, are super sexualized. And then white women in media historically are usually portrayed as like virginal,
Wifey material.
innocent women who need saving. And it's usually the woman of color who is imposing these threats to her life, and like she ends up saving some guy from the woman of color, and they live a happily ever after, and she gets married, and it just kind of like sets this image in people's mind that like women of color, black women, like aren't marriageable, which like doesn't matter to me. I don't care about marriage, but I mean, in our society that does matter.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right.
And there's just like a certain standard set for us where we can't be certain things. Like we can't have certain attitudes in multiple settings because then we automatically get that stereotype thrown
It's
on
like,
us.
oh, look at that. She fits a stereotype.
You
but-
can't raise your voice because then you're just being a spicy Latina.
Well,
or you're
look
just
at-
being an angry black woman.
Look at the way, like, I mean, sorry to throw it back to politics because, I mean, it's not media, but I mean, look at the way, like, when a male, like any man, like no matter who it is, whether it's Republican or Democrat, they're like, look how passionate he was speaking on the floor today when he's yelling and cussing, whatever he's doing, look how passionate he was. And then when it's a girl or a woman, they're like, look how hysteric she is. Look how dramatic she's being.
Yeah, and I
it's
mean,
like, no, how is that not passion? But yours was passion. Like, no, she's being passionate too. She's saying what she feels, and that she's probably right too. Honestly, a lot of times it's like, well, I mean, if you're yelling and screaming on the floor, it's because you're probably, like you're mad about something. But at the same time, that's passion. It's not fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
Like, that's so like, I mean, that should be one of the biggest ones right there. It's like when you see a guy do something, they're like, passion, strength.
yeah.
Oh, let me do it. It's like hysterical, over dramatic.
Well, and that's kind of like removing race and replacing it with gender. And
Gender
like,
in general,
again,
yeah.
like I said, like men get grace that women don't, and then women and men who are white women or men get grace that black women will never get
Oh, yeah.
and have never gotten, and black women, and that goes back to this interview. Like Rachel Lindsay is such. I do encourage you guys. She has her own podcast that isn't Bachelor. She has one that's like Bachelor based, and then she has one that's not, where she talks about like current events and current issues with Van something.
That's what it is.
I don't listen to him. I don't listen to it because I just don't vibe with him. But I really like her.
Okay.
But she's really smart, and she portrays herself in such a light. But she talks about it. Where like, you know, like I've had to do that. Like I don't get the grace to just show my emotions and just yell at someone when I want to yell at someone, because then I automatically get a stereotype thrown on me, and then I'm just an angry black woman. And I think that is just something that men don't have to deal with, and that white women or lighter colored women will not have to deal with. Like I will not, no one will say I'm an angry Mexican chick for yelling. Will they call me other things based on stereotypes for my heritage? Yeah. But like there's no one who is in more danger in America than the black woman or the black, I mean, especially the black trans woman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
No, yeah,
insane.
for sure, completely. I don't want to go too long. I know we're probably hitting pretty long, but I do want to touch on one more thing when it goes to this topic.
Yes.
Like, before, like, the whole Karen movement and stuff, like, people started calling, like, white ladies that are going crazy Karens. There, like, before that, there's, like, if a white lady was going crazy and yelling at people, it's like she's the victim almost. Like, oh my god, she's, like, someone needs to take care of her. Like, she's but then it's like if a black lady or a Mexican lady, whoever it was doing the same thing, it's like, she's so hostile. What is she doing? Like, so it's like before this whole Karen movement, because trust me, it still happens. I'm sure you can find a huge amount of people that would still sympathize with like people that would be called Karens or whatever.
Yeah.
But that is a big thing. I mean, if you just look at comments on social media, you can tell like, oh yeah, because you'll see the racist comments people saying like, look at the angry black lady, look at the crazy Latina, or whatever it is. But then, like, or they'll sympathize with her like, well, I mean, you shouldn't, you should have just asked what or done what she was asking or something. But it's like, no, she's just.
Well, and like that's kind of something that I've read about it. I don't know the exact like complex that it is, but it's something that white women do when they get caught like just caught red-handed kind of thing,
I
is
know
they start crying.
It's asking for the manager. No?
No, it's like a part of like white guilt, and it's just like a defense mechanism for white women where they just like start crying or being hysterical because they know that like they'll usually get sympathy and like be seen as the victim in that situation, which is just fucked. And like that's the one last thing I want to touch on from like this specific topic from The Bachelor is like if you guys do watch the show like this season. I think maybe, I don't know, like maybe it's just, I'm sure if I watched back on like older seasons I would see this, and like because of how diverse this cast is, you know, all of the feuds that they're having is like literally white women being absolutely fucking insane, and then like starting these quarrels or these confrontations with women of color, and most of these confrontations, they're placing like assumptions that relate to the stereotypes of their heritage. And no one has I mean I haven't heard anyone talk about that, and like that has really bothered me because a lot of these white women who are on the show and have already been, you know, off of it now have had time to apologize for their actions or for the way that they treated women of color on this show, but I just think that it's such, again, they're so privileged that they don't even realize what they did.
Yeah.
And like, you know, they could say, well, in the moment I was really upset, so like that's why I acted, but like you don't even understand how deeply ingrained this shit is into you that you don't even see yourself on national television treating women of color this way.
Yeah.
And reinforcing negative stereotypes that endangers them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I wasn't trying to give people the benefit of the doubt with asking the question. I was just like, is it possible that people are just so privileged and they've been
totally
so
possible.
forever that they don't realize how bad their actions are perceived, and or to at least perceived to people of color, black women especially.
Yeah.
Like it's like you don't like they just don't realize it because they've never been confronted with it. They've never been like held accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then now that they're held accountable, now they're a victim and they're getting attacked and canceled and all this bullshit. But
I mean, it's America.
man, I did not think I was going to have that much to say about it.
I'm telling you, it's a lot. Like it's a lot to talk about, and there's so many layers and like so many topics that you can go into on that. But because we're running out of time, let's rate this wine. Oh, that rhymed.
Ooh.
3 in a row.
Nice.
How do you feel? What do you think? Out of 10?
Out of 10? I mean, with my very experienced wine knowledge and palate, I would say this is a dry oak. No, I don't care.
Okay.
I would say, it's I'm going on a wine scale. I'll say 8 because I don't know a lot of wine. I've had red wine before and stuff. I'll say an 8. I think it's a solid wine.
He usually drinks Stella Rosa Black, which is basically just grape juice.
Or Roscato. Just kidding. Cold Roscato.
Yeah, I give it 10 out of 10. They're my favorite. We will definitely link the products
in the description again.
In the description, yeah. So again, Root, love you. Thank you. This candle's gorgeous.
Photosynthesis. Thank you.
Plant, you're adorable.
Does it need sunlight? That doesn't need sunlight, huh? Does it?
This one?
Yeah.
It needs like minimal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not photosynthesis. Kind of photosynthesis.
Well, I mean, plants need photosynthesis to like live in general.
Not succulents. Don't succulents just live forever?
No.
Oh,
you know how
either
many
way.
succulents I've killed?
Oh, God.
Don't give me succulents. I cannot keep them alive. Anyways, Cordon, Nell, I love you. I will see you soon. Guys, thank you so much for listening.
Yes.
And please interact with us on our socials. Happy hour on Instagram. We don't have a Twitter yet. Maybe next season.
Maybe next season.
I can't keep up with social that much right now.
Yeah.
You're watching us on YouTube, so you already know our YouTube.
Next season, I think we should start for sure next season on all platforms. We'll start good because we'll have a whole backlog of stuff to put up already.
It'll be really fun.
Yeah.
My Instagram is Kelsey, but KILLAKELSC. If you want to follow me, hit that follow button. But mostly our actual podcast page, like if you guys can interact with that, comment, like, save the post, share a post. The algorithm has changed. I don't really know.
Yeah, no one sees anything anymore. I want to say constantly like shit. So
yeah, but like help us out there if you're watching this. we appreciate you. Do you want to plug your socials?
Oh yeah, I'll plug mine. Justin Vasquez 22 on everything. If you want to see spicy takes, go to my Twitter. Because I'm the spicy Latino.
He is, yeah, actually, on Twitter.
I get spicy.
He goes hard.
No, yeah, so that's on my Twitter. Justin Vasquez 22 on Instagram. Also, I mean, whatever we post on Instagram, we're gonna tag each other in it usually. So you'll find it if you follow our Instagram page for not-so.happy hour.
Yes.
Period, happy hour.
Yeah.
So,
Dot, period.
perfect.
You get it. But hey, thank you guys so much for an awesome season. We have one more episode coming out, and then we're going to take a break. Please let us know in between, though, what you'd like to see from us next season. If there's any guests you'd like to see on, if there's any topics you want us to hit. We're going to have our significant others on the last episode, so if there's any questions that you guys have for us or
Yeah.
for them having to deal with us or anything really in general,
Yeah,
Free
no,
game.
that one's gonna be fun. That one's gonna be nothing crazy. It's just gonna be just the awkwardness of being couples.
yeah, and
And
all of us fitting on this tiny couch
That's gonna
together.
be fun, especially because her boyfriend's like fucking
Gigantic.
12 feet tall.
Yeah.
So we have to have a table like over here. But
He's gonna have to just stand up in
Yeah.
the back.
so yeah, no, it's gonna be great.
All right,
I'm
well,
excited.
cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You guys are awesome.